everybody! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Yogi Bear. It is good to be seen. I hope you're having a good day so far. I am having a very cold day so far. This weekend, the weather got as low as negative 12 degrees outside, which means our temperature inside did not go over 55 degrees. So we have two rooms exactly that are perfectly heated because they have doors and space heaters. So I really hope you are staying warm today for sure. We have my boo-boo bear with me today. Do you want to say hi?
Hello.
All right, and today, well, knowing me, we're going to bounce around in topics to talk about, but we are going to try to stay on topic of video games. And speaking of which, today's game is Hidden City Mystery Games. I have not played since last week, so I'm excited to get into this. Let me turn on the music. There it is. So, my biggest thing right now is Dreamlight Valley they have those little orbs if you do something for so many times in a row. Like if you collect so many harvest things, if you mine so many rocks, if you clear away so many thorns, they give you little orbs. I would love it if they would quit putting money in those orbs. I want a memory because it takes forever to get an orb in the first place. And then it takes even longer to collect memories. And I love collecting everything in video games. So it bothers me that when I do open the orb, it is just money. If I want money, I will sell something or I will work on something that earns me money. I don't want money. I want memories. So that's been my most recent hiccup with the video game. Do you have a pet peeve in your video games that you play? He's got to think now.
I don't know. Not really. Games that I am presently playing.
Do you have a favorite video game that you like to play?
Presently, my favorite series of games would be the Assassin's Creed games. Been playing through those, gotten all the way up to Origins. Somewhere in Origins, I can't remember exactly. It's been a hot minute since I've played it. That's my overall current favorite. My favorites tend to fluctuate with whatever mood I'm at the time. I like a lot of games. A lot of games I don't have. What's your current favorite?
My current favorite, I want to say Genshin Impact. That has been a lot of fun to play. They have really good graphics, and they have really good storyline. Yeah, and I love all the colors and how bright it is.
Do you know how far you've made it in Genshin Impact?
It's been a couple weeks since I've played it, just because of the craziness of life. I don't know for sure where I'm at exactly.
I tried to play Genshin Impact, but it's not my style of game. I like a more, I don't know, strategy style, I guess.
Yeah, I very much like open world, and I very much like it when they have a good storyline to go on. Like initially, Hidden City had a really good storyline, and even now if the events have a good storyline, I'll read it. But I have found that Sherlock Holmes has a better, more consistent storyline than Hidden City does. Okay, they call a glass flask when it's actually a beaker, and it throws me off every time.
Now, I am unfortunately not super familiar with your streaming games. I know you stream several of them. Have you streamed Genshin Impact?
Actually, I am pre-recording it for when we are out of town for business. Because I can't stream on the road. I've tried to set up different uh things so that I could stream on the road. But right now we're streaming off of Windows, and and I carry with me a Mac, and I have not found a suitable way to stream on my Mac. So no, I've not technically streamed it yet, but I do have a backlog of recordings for when we're out of town.
I see. Now, are there any video games that you are interested in but do not have yet?
I just like all the Legos, the Lego video games. I'm also backlogging a stream of that. Oh, there's the butterfly. Okay, but yeah, there are some games from my childhood that I have found something similar to, but I have not found these specific video games. Those are the ones I'd like to bring back, if for nothing else but nostalgia.
Yeah, those nostalgia games can be a lot of fun.
What's your favorite nostalgic game that you either do play or you wish you could play again?
Most of my nostalgia games I think I have at this point. So there's Age of Mythologies and Age of Empires, kind of made by the same people. Those are really fun. And then I also like from Sierra. There was a line of games. They're city builders. So it's Caesar's 3, Pharaoh and Cleopatra, Zeus and Poseidon, and Emperor. And so I have all of those games. They're all really fun city builders, and you go to the particular countries, way back when, and you get to make a lot of the famous monuments of the day. So, like in Pharaoh and Cleopatra, you get to make the Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, and different things like that, and make the Great Wall of China when you're in Emperor and different things like that. So those are a lot of fun. And then there was the Commandos series, were also a big favorite of ours, me and my brothers, during childhood. And so we only had one Commandos, and I didn't realize until I was in like college that there was a huge set of those games. And those are really fun. They're World War II based. They're, I believe, based on like a real group of people. But they can be pretty complicated. I haven't played Commandos in a minute. I probably should. But I don't think I've ever gotten through a full game, through the full story or whatever in any of those games. But I really love those because I used to watch my dad play those. Peek over his shoulder.
I think I've seen you play Commandos once or twice. Is that you said it's military. Was that like the Marines and the shooter and they had to find a way around the Germans?
Yeah, that's the ones. And I know for a fact that I've shown you the game. Yeah, you have, depending on the mission, you have a variety of different commandos. So you've got the Green Beret, you've got the sniper, you've got the mechanic. I can't remember who else in it. You've got some, like the diver. You've got I think he's called the sapper. He deals with bombs and stuff. And yeah, you have to, it's all set up in a specific way, and you have to hide. None of your people can die. And you have a particular mission, and so you head off and sneak around. You guys can crawl and hide in things, and the Green Beret can like move bodies around to either hide them or to get the enemy's attention. So you've got all that kind of stuff going on, and you're trying to do a variety of things depending on the mission. Sometimes it's I think one of the missions is to blow up a submarine, and one of them is to blow up like an oil reserve. Sometimes there's one in Tunisia that I hate. That is, you gotta rescue this dude. Yeah, I think he was like a pilot. He got shot down, and you have to go in and rescue him. And it's a bunch of rooftops, and it is a nightmare. So you go around and kill them in various. Oh, there is the spy too, and so you can use the spy to like distract guard patrols. Because I have guard patrols of like 5 or 6 guys. So you get him and make them all look in one direction. And then the sapper, my favorite thing is the sapper, he's got a bear trap. And so a lot of this stuff happens in either the snow or the desert. And so you can see the enemy's footprints and you can track their movements. They have regular patrol routes. So you can put that bear claw down and it'll snatch one of the patrolmen. So if you've got a patrol of like 5 guys, you just hide the sapper nearby, put the bear trap down, and one after the other, because usually that won't sound the alarm if they're far enough. Sometimes it will, but if you're far enough away from anything important, it doesn't sound the alarm or anything. So just snap them one by one. Just a game of patience.
That game is very much outside of my wheelhouse of expertise because it's hard enough for me to figure out the strategy, but then I get excited that I figured out the strategy and I would go too fast for my strategy. So that would be very hard for me to not get too excited too fast. I already do that enough in Assassin's Creed. I get too excited too fast and go, and I've gotten caught many a time for going.
It is very definitely a game of a lot of patience and a lot of reloads. It does have a lot of that element of surprise. So I remember there was this one particular mission, and the guard patrols, you can see what they see, one by one. You can't see everybody's, but you can choose a group, right? So I was sneaking around, and it was first quarter of the mission, trying to figure out, and I ran across this gap between buildings, and I'd run across it several times before, and nothing had ever gone wrong. And this one random time, he gets spotted and gunned down. I was like, what on earth happened? And it took me like 10 minutes to figure out where he had gotten hit and who had seen him and why. And once you figure it out, I mean, it's not, you generally, oh, okay. Yeah, that particular one was just a matter of like me crawling instead of sprinting. Or timing. And that's a big thing too, is it's the timing. You can't run too early or they'll spot you. And if you run too late, they'll spot you. And if you run just right but don't, crawl, they'll spot you.
It sounds like a mess of a game. Earlier, did you say you play Caesars? Is that what you said?
It's Caesar 3, I believe. Hold up, let me look it up.
Because I heard Sierra, and I was like, I didn't know you liked a game called Sierra. What is this? And as you explained, I understood better that it's called Caesars. So, but yeah.
So the game is Caesar 3. There's a Caesar 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think a 5. Sierra is the publishing company. They're the ones who made the games Caesar 3, Pharaoh, Zeus, and Emperor. So they're I did say Sierra. They're just the publishing company like Activision or Ubisoft.
That makes a lot more sense. Thank you. I am getting used to playing and talking at the same time, so bear with me on these levels. Lady's putting her head between our legs like, hey, pay attention to me too. Did you have something to say, Miss Ma'am? No comment at this time.
I just remembered looking through my game library. I don't actually have Pharaoh of that collection. For whatever reason, for distribution rights or something, I don't know. It's not on Steam, and that's where I keep most of my games. So I don't have that one, but that one's a lot of fun. The rest are all on Steam. You got Zeus and Poseidon. Zeus is fun because you get it's very mythological in nature. So you're building your city or whatever, and you can add for their kind of monument stuff. You build the temples to Zeus and to Poseidon, to Hera and Hades, and all these different people. And once you do that, they'll actually like walk through your city. And there are a couple of missions in it where you'll actually have like Hades come and attack your city, and you have to have Zeus to fight back, and you get these They're not super epic battles, but they're entertaining battles between these various, factions of the gods. And then you can also build, like, I don't know, I guess you call them mansions. I can't remember what the game calls it, but, like, for the heroes of Greek mythology, like Jason and Hercules and all these things. And so you'll have to summon them to fight certain beasts that are plaguing your city and preventing you from collecting some resource or other. And I know, like, the Hydra's at there at one point, and he's protecting some kind of, like, limestone pit that you have to mine in order to win the game, so you have to get Hercules. Or Jason or somebody, I can't remember who. And I know at one point you have Medusa, like, sweeping through your city every now and then and turning everybody to stone. So that one's a really fun game, and then they added Zeus is the original game, and then they added Poseidon as, like an update or a DLC or something, and so then you can make Atlantis, and that city is stupid. Because Atlantis is it's a circle, it's a series of circular rings of land that are barely large enough to hold, like, houses or whatever. And in the game, everything tends to be built on, straight lines. So you've got this dumb little circle leading, rings into this middle island that's pretty small and can't house much. I hate that particular map, but I don't, yeah, it was an interesting decision for a city. Caesar 3, however, is by far the hardest of those types of games. I think you make it like 4 missions in, and you're already just in agony over. And I can't remember why exactly, but I know pretty quickly into it all you've got Hannibal and his stupid elephants attacking the city, and you've got like 4 or 5 walls that you have to build up, and those things are not cheap. And building an army in any of those games is a task. At least a decent army. I mean, you can throw a bunch of archers together pretty quick, but it's just such a pain.
I feel like that's very true to life. Building up an army is quite the endeavor. Period. Much less. I feel like that's a good dictation of the game to do that.
Probably, but when you're being attacked pretty regularly, it's annoying. That's why I like games like Age of Mythologies and Age of Empires, where it's strictly a military campaign, so building your army is like the second thing you do.
Is it possible in the Caesars game to the mythology game to build up your army first thing so that you're just maintaining it while you build up the rest of your city?
In Caesar 3?
In the Zeus and Poseidon one.
So Zeus and Poseidon, Caesar, all of those games, kind of, not really. You can, like I said, you can build the archers up. You can have the archers ready to go, and you can probably put 2 or 3 archer barracks down pretty quick into the game. But those games are focused on city building. So if you don't have enough food and water and all those kinds of things, everybody leaves the city. And if you don't have anybody in the city, you don't have an army. So
I mean, that's fair. I was curious. I didn't know that people would just up and leave your city. That's interesting. I thought they had to be there.
oh, absolutely not. Those games, so you have the housing buildings, whatever, the houses, and they require certain things. And so early on they'll need water, and then they'll upgrade, and then you need basic food, and then they'll upgrade, and then you need this, that, and the other, and grow, and it'll get bigger, and as they get bigger, they can house more people, and so on and so forth, and the things that they require become more and more complicated to get, or more expensive at the very least to import. And so if you have a bazaar, and the bazaar will send out people to provide a lot of these materials, right? But if a house runs out, so it'll have a certain amount of things that it takes from the bazaar. If it runs out, it devolves. And so anybody above the population cap that that building has, just leave. And so if you're not paying attention and something random goes out of the way, like one of the early things they need is ceramics. So if you lose ceramics and you've got like the highest tier building, I mean, they'll go down so fast and you lose like 2/3 of your population like that. And if you're not paying enough attention and do that kind of stuff, I mean, it can really wreck your city, especially if you've got a larger city, you know, and you're sporting, 1,000, 1,500 people. That city collapses so fast, and you have to scramble to turn off industries and shut things down, so that or change priorities so that you're making sure that the basics are getting taken care of, so that it doesn't fall even further, and make sure that you regrow everything. Because I mean, once you have a city large enough, I mean, you've got 15 farms, and those have actually quite a decent population need, and so it a city can collapse rather quickly in that game, and that is always frustrating when it happens to me. Especially, if I'm in the middle of a mission and I'm focusing on building some, if I'm in Pharaoh, I'm building some, pyramid. And then next thing I know, there's nobody working on my pyramid because my city got cut in, to a third of its population. It's like, oh, come on. Yeah. And then it takes forever to rebuild that.
So you do enjoy strategy, but when every point of the strategy needs your attention all at once, then that's a harder game for you. Like, Commandos need strategy, but so does Pharaoh and... Oh, what am I thinking of? But so does Zeus and Poseidon. But they need two different kinds of strategy. So that's... Yeah?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily harder if there's more aspects to it. I tend to get... I get focused really easily. And so even if it's as simple as Commandos, I'll sometimes forget that there's a particular character that I can use. Especially like the sniper in Commandos. I forget about that dude all the time. So I'll be working it and I'll be like, well, I've got the Green Beret and I need his work in this particular area. And I will try to get the Green Beret to work for me for like the entire game when I've got like 6 other characters I can use. So that's just me not being able to multitask very well and just insisting that this one particular strategy needs to work. Most games that I play at some point will require me to reset. Whether that's, in like Pharaoh, if you get, that entire strain of games actually, if you get low enough favor with the kingdom. Because you're like running a city for the empire, whatever empire that is. And so if the emperor of that empire gets mad at you, he'll send an army and kill you. So in all of the city building games, I usually end up within the first 6 missions having to restart because the emperor killed me. Because I forgot about some stupid aspect of gaining and garnishing his favor.
You have lost his favor. Oh my goodness. You terrible, terrible peasant.
I didn't just lose it. I obliterate that thing.
You not only lost his favor, you have brought the ire of the emperor to your head.
It's actually kind of funny. Most of the time in those types of games, I would rather, because religion is, especially, you got Caesar, you got the Roman Empire, and they, of course they worshipped their interesting little pantheon, which is basically just a ripoff of the Greeks. But so you can build their temples, right? And while they don't in Caesar, they don't come to the city like they do in Zeus and Poseidon, you can still get the gods angry at you, and so that'll result in a lot of different things, whether that's people leaving the city or industries shutting down or being set on fire. I would rather that the gods got angry at me in those games than the Pharaoh does.
Why is that? Because you can defend yourself against the gods and you can't against the Pharaoh, or why?
So like if the Pharaoh sends his army, I mean that's an army that you have to like repel from your city. And he's got a pretty strong army. You can do it if you're far enough into a game, but most of the time I'm not. And so it's this huge army that you have to fend off, whereas if the gods get angry, I mean, 2 warehouses burned down that I can rebuild. And most of the time, if I'm overstocked in my warehouses, I tend to overstock everything. And so my industry comes to a halt, not because there's nowhere to put things. Well, because there's nowhere to put things, because I've got 17 warehouses and they're all full. And I'm trying to sell everything I can, and I can get really rich if I don't get on the Pharaoh's bad side. So if you know, if I can't remember who's in Pharaoh, but if one of those guys, you know, Osiris gets mad at me and burns down, you know, 2 or 3 warehouses or even 5, it's thanks. That actually helped me out, you know. And if Poseidon gets mad at me and he sinks a couple of fishing ships, it's like, that becomes a little bit more problematic. He can do a couple of things with like sea trade or whatever, but it's still just like, yeah, but it's a one-off event and I'm fine. I can move on. I can rebuild. But if Pharaoh gets me, I'm screwed.
That's great. There's one clip I saw. I've been watching a lot of it's called on YouTube I believe it's called Vala Dirty League. If you ever want to see their videos, it's hilarious. They do a lot of things with like from video games. And they do scenes from video games like POVs. And one of them was he went and he sneak killed one of the guards. And the guard looked at him and he's like, I saw you. And he's like, no, you're dead. I stabbed you. And he's like, yeah, but I saw you. And then all of a sudden the alarm goes off and other guards are around him and they're like, oh, you're the suspect that was seen. And I'm like, that's how I feel every time I'm in Assassin's Creed. If I run just a little too fast, or if I don't stab someone just fast enough, then I have been seen and alarm bells are going off. Like one time, I got a guy on the roof and he stayed on the roof. He didn't fall off. And I was going about my business, and 10 minutes later, I passed by some guards and they're all like, oh, you're the one! And they start chasing me, and I'm like, dude, that was 10 minutes ago. What are we doing here? So, they are hilarious. And one little thing before I hand off the microphone, is I was wondering where their name came from. The Lava Dirty League? Whatever it is. Vala, whatever. Anyway, I'm sure he knows the name because he keeps reaching for the microphone. We only have one, so he's trying to correct me, but I know I'm saying it wrong. Anyway, I was watching one of their videos and they're like, some people are wondering where our name came from. And he said, well, there's Gold, Silver, and Bronze League whenever you play a game. He's like, but we were so bad at video games, we were the Dirt League. Anyway, he's probably going to give the correct name of the channel right now.
I believe it's Vive la Dirt League. Live.
Well, yeah, because they said that they wanted to just have Dirt League, but then some bloke on YouTube who has like 5 followers already had that name, so they couldn't have it. So they wanted to spice it up, like make it sound super eloquent and Frenchy. Okay, he's gonna take Lady go potty, and she's begging. So, but yeah. So if you want to laugh at and be relatable with people who also play video games, they are a good channel, in my opinion anyway. They're pretty hilarious.
Yeah, they're a great channel. And yes, with the whole random guards spotting you that you've killed. It happens so much in like Assassin's Creed especially. I remember one mission in like I believe it was Assassin's Creed 2. Or maybe Brotherhood. There's this ship that you have to get on and like kill somebody but you can't be spotted or whatever. I hated that thing. And you gotta climb up the side, and if you pull the wrong guy at the wrong second, the whole ship goes alert and you lose. It's like, yeah, they do it. Viva La Dirt League does a lot of really funny stuff with that kind of stuff. I love their series about the video game logic stuff. Because those to me are absolute pure gold. You know, just what happens when a horse climbs up a mountain or you eat a potion or something like that. It's great stuff.
Oh yeah. Ooh, we have a key. Oh no, did they take it from me? Oh, I guess I don't have keys. Just kidding. They made it look like it was full. Okay, memories hunt. See, like all these things are, yes, they're fun, but they make it look like it's a part of the story, and it's not. And that kind of bothers me. Whereas in Sherlock, you can read literally every prompt and it has something to do with the story. So like you need to read every prompt if you want to be in on the story. So you can't do that to Hidden City.
Yeah, that aspect is been very entertaining to see our differences. Because I'm not overly story. It's not to say I'm not story. If the game is good enough, I will definitely enjoy the story. Especially, Assassin's Creed. But I'll skip through a lot, and especially like the side stuff. Like, I don't care why I'm getting some rando, killed for some other rando. Like, if it has to do with the main story, yeah, it's really fun. And some of the side stuff, in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, you meet like, who was it? I think you meet Charles Dickens.
I want to meet Charles Dickens. That's awesome.
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed games are really great for that. Whatever time period you are, they try to make you. They try to really bring it to life by bringing those kinds of characters into the game. So, like, they didn't. Well, they do have it in Assassin's Creed 1. They've got Richard the Lionheart. In Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and 2 and Brotherhood, you have Da Vinci. I don't know who's in Revelation. It's all Turkey, so I don't really know who's famous from Turkey. And then trying to remember the games in order. 3, which is the American Revolution. You meet George Washington, the Marquis de Lafayette, Benjamin Franklin, a couple of others. You meet Blackbeard in Black Flags. You meet, I believe, Charles Dickens in Syndicate.
I'm not looking forward to Black Flags because you have to navigate a ship, and I am bad at navigating things in video games. I'm awful. Absolutely awful. I'm playing Star Wars Legos to pre-record as well, and there are several levels where you have to navigate a ship and either chase someone or like position the ship right where something else blows up. And I'm gonna go ahead and apologize right now for those levels because they are awful.
I'm not sure. I think he'll do alright with Black Flag. It's pretty simple, I found. Now, the one I find really aggravating is Rogue. Assassin's Creed Rogue should not have been made. For a lot of reasons. First off, the story is so weak. I can't spoil because you're probably gonna play it at some point. Let's just say that the entire premise of the game should never have happened. The kind of leading event that causes the game to occur is so stupid. It's so insane. And then that one, they took a lot of elements from Black Flag and just transposed them over and made worse maps. So like, so they're kind of based in like Canada or something. The furthest south they go, I think, is like New York or maybe Boston. So you're not really in the Americas as much. Like, you go down into there, but you're mostly like up in Canada or whatever. And so they're having you like sail through all of these random islands, and the maps are just nonsense. I'm not really sure. Of course, I haven't really looked it up, but it doesn't look like it's anything. It's like they just threw together some land here and there, and made tiny little sea channels. And I understand Northern Canada does have some weird things, but it seems really tight, and the spacing seems really off in that game. And yeah, I don't like a lot of aspects of it. It feels like a ripoff of Black Flag, and Black Flag did it better. And the story should never have happened, and the main character is just like, there are some certain things that make sense within it, like why he goes the way he does. But he shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. He didn't want to be in that position. He told everybody not to put him in that position, and they put him in that position, and then he was like, screw off, no, I'm done with you. And it's just, nobody listened, and nobody paid attention, and it was just random stuff, and I was just like, no, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yeah, I don't like that game. I like the base concept. Just good guy turning bad for good reasons. But it was executed so obnoxiously that
Isn't there like a I've heard of this before, but I don't think I'm gonna say it right, so bear with me. It's like a scale of quote good and bad guys, where it's a sliding scale and there's neutral, neutral good, neutral evil, all that. So he kind of goes from, does he go from quote unquote like really good to like a neutral evil or something like that? Is that what he's doing?
So what you're mentioning is the D&D alignment table. And I don't remember, there's like 6 different alignments, you know, and to kind of describe how a player should play their character.
Like chaotic good. He sounds like he's chaotic good.
I don't know. I don't think he's chaotic good. I don't know the alignments well enough or their applications to say which one he is, but yeah, it's something like that. I don't think he really changes. His quote alignment. He just changes sides because everybody around him is idiots.
There was one person recently who said they haven't changed their views, but the world around them has changed. So like where they used to be you know, in the center of things, now people view them as a right-winged person. And I'm not getting into politics. Calm down. I'm merely using this as an example. That's what it sounds like happens with him. He was good, and then because the people around them change their views, they deem him as bad, or even, not really bad, but you know, along those lines, they've changed it around him. That's what it sounds like happens to him.
That would be a far more apt description of what occurs. Yeah, that describes it well. The problem is, though, that he makes bad friends once he... And that does change him. Less so within the context of the game, and more so in his aftermath. But yeah, it's just stupid. Bad maps, bad characters, bad decisions. They really threw that one together on a whim, as it were. It really felt like one of those games that they threw together to be a cash grab, and they didn't really know where they were going with it. Truly.
Kind of like when a good author's on a roll, but he's not quite ready to put out his next book that's excellent, but people are like, I need a book. So he just throws one together that makes sense in his world, but it's not the best. And then finally, like a year later, he comes out with the actual book he was wanting to put out. Something like that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Because after that comes, because before that they had Black Flag, and then after that I believe was Syndicate, which is London. And Syndicate, no, is it Syndicate or is it Unity? Oh, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's Syndicate. Anyways, I think Syndicate gets a lot of flack for its gameplay, because Syndicate adds a unique element to the parkour system, which is the zip line. And so people got kind of mad about that, where it's, you know, whereas in the past you'd have to actually like physically climb up a building, now you can just zip line to the top of Big Ben in 3 seconds.
I'm looking forward to that. I hate climbing up buildings. I'm so bad at it.
Yeah, so I think Syndicate gets a lot of flack for that, but I really like Syndicate.
Sorry, pause. I might get blown up a million times because I was not watching when the tiles were flickering, and as I turned my head, I accidentally clicked something, and I'm glad it wasn't a bomb, but I also didn't see my safe spots either, so here we go. Back to Syndicate.
So I think it's a bad name for that, but I find that, I mean, Black Flag's changed the general nature of the game pretty quickly when they put everything in a ship. You know, like 90% of Black Flag is on a ship. Or so it seems. A lot of the gameplay is. And so I don't know, I really liked it, and it's a huge map. And I think the zipline thing is really fun, and it gives it a new feeling. And is something I think real assassins would probably incorporate at some point. You know, get that really Spider-Man vibe. Because as cities grow and grow bigger, you need to be able to get around them quickly. I mean, you look at Assassin's Creed 1, or 2 especially is the city I'm thinking of. 2 has this tiny little city, I can't remember the name of it. It's got this tiny little thing. I mean, you can run across it in the same amount of time it takes you to cross like one of the bridges in Syndicate. You know, so there would be those aspects of as actual assassins grow bigger. You know, you need a way to get across the city really fast. A city that spans miles and miles and miles and miles. You know, and today, you know, I think that would be a huge advantage. You look at cities like Chicago, New York, and London nowadays. There's all these massive skyscrapers, and they're huge, bustling cities. And they get from one side to the other, even in a car, would take you an hour or two. And yeah, I think as cities grow bigger, you need that kind of tech. People really give it a bad name because game developers thought the same thing. But yeah, Syndicate's a lot of fun. You get some really interesting. Now, I will say about Syndicate, the brother, he could have done it. You could have done the entire thing with Evie, I think. He's a really weird and interesting character, and it seems like his sister is always chasing him and fixing the problems that he creates. She seems a lot smarter and militarily wise.
Is she an older or younger sister?
They're twins.
Well, is she older or younger?
I don't know, they're twins.
You know there's an older and younger twin, right? They don't just pop out at the same time.
Yeah, I know that, but it doesn't show their birth. I don't know which came out first. And if they mentioned it in the game, I forgot. That was an important detail to me.
This is why story matters.
I got plenty of the story in that one. That's why random female details. That's a male-female brain difference. Which one's older? I don't know. I don't care. What I care about is who the bad guy is. I know they're twins, and that's good enough for me. And Evie's the better of the two. But yeah, that's a great one.
That's good. Well, because usually it's an older sister who's very militaristic, unless the brother's older and he's very good and has his wits about him, then it's a younger sister. It really depends on the storyline. So the details you're giving me makes me think she's an older sister, but who am I to assume? You know, I barely know how to play the video games, much less assuming their storylines. But I was just curious if they followed that. I don't know if it's technically a trope, but I was wondering if they had followed that or not.
They might have, but I ain't paying enough attention. I do know they're both a kid of the Grand Master of the Assassins. That's not his title. It's the Grand Master of the Templars, I can't remember what the head of the Assassin's Order is. Anyways, they're his kid.
Masyaf? Or down the line of Masyaf? Or not his line at all?
Masyaf is a city.
Who am I thinking of? They always say to go to Masyaf. I understand this. That's the city that the place is in. Oh yeah, it is, because it always pops up. Who am I thinking of that leads them?
I don't remember his name now all of a sudden. But yeah, it's essentially him, but for different generations. And different locations. So the Assassins and Templars tend to run by location. So you might have an overarching, especially in like the modern day, you might have an overarching Grandmaster of the Templar Order, but you'll have like the leader of a particular region, and that's who the Assassins tend to deal with, is trying to get to that person in whatever region they're in. So that might be London. During the Crusades, is just the Crusades in general. It was all of Israel, and I think they do go by country, as it were, but they tend to focus on the capital of it, because the capital will push the rest of the country in that single direction. So the size and whatnot of whatever district you're in can vary quite a bit depending on the era, the game, the location. So like London will be just London usually. The Assassins have the rest of England, or not England, England kind of in control, but London is super taken. And the Americas, they took over all of that because that was under British control. So they just took all of that for the Templars, and you're fighting that in Assassin's Creed 3. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with this anymore. I'm just spewing off lore about Assassin's Creed.
That's alright, we're here for it. I mean, Assassin's Creed is the video game that gets the most attention, so I don't think the people mind too much.
Yeah, they're a good set of games, and when you really dig down into it, there's a lot of really fun lore, and you're lucky that you forget things really quickly because I've spewed a lot of it at you, and a lot of it spoilers. But you've probably already forgotten. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool and intricate things, a lot of connected history throughout them all, and the various games are connected in several ways, whether that's by bloodline or by events or different things like that in the modern day and in the past. So they're very fun games and very lore intense for those, or not intense, but lore sure heavy for those who like that kind of stuff, and very playable for those who prefer just the gameplay. You know, you don't have to follow the story straight from start. I mean, you can, but you can do all the kind of side quests that you want. You can skip the actual story and just kind of get the gist of what you're supposed to be doing. You don't have to know who you're killing in order to kill them, you know. Very Hitman style in that way. You just kill the dude. Very cool. But if you do like the story, they go into it, and some of them fail. You know, Rogue failed, I think. But some of them really succeed, like Ezio's whole trilogy. And I think Connor actually... Connor's a very interesting character, but he's got some really interesting story, and creates an entire 2 or 3 generations that affect every game until they get to Origins. So yeah, it's all very intertwined and very mixed, and a lot of hidden mysteries. You know, what is the Apple of Eden? Who made it? Where did it come from? All that kind of stuff. And different aspects like that.
Yeah, I very much enjoy the gameplay and the story as I'm playing it. But once I step away from the computer, it's like, I listen to you talk about it because you love it and because it is your jam, and I'm happy to listen. But I'm glad you don't give me a quiz after, because I don't retain it very well. Which is ironic because I will hear all of the back lore and all of the craziness when it comes to the Grimm fairy tales, or something like that. I like those stories especially, but I still forget some details. I need to hear a story 2 or 3 times for me to fully grasp and retain it, which is very frustrating for some people, but you don't seem to mind. You just love going on and talking.
I find too that Assassin's Creed 1 is not the biggest lore-wise. There's a lot of really interesting things if you dig into it. But you kind of have to know the rest of the series. Because they build upon what happened in Assassin's Creed 1. I don't think they really had the lore when they made Assassin's Creed 1. You know, they just had these aspects, and they're like, oh, this is a cool thing. You know, we're gonna base it off of the assassins of old, you know, the Hasashin. And so they didn't have a lot at the beginning, I don't think. And then as they made more games, they really started developing and be like, oh, you know, people really like this stuff. Let's build into it. And so Assassin's Creed 1 doesn't have huge lore to it. It has foundations to it, and they add to it later for Assassin's Creed 1. They add to a lot in 2, and particularly in Brotherhood and Revelation. And so it's hard to blame anybody for not paying much attention to the lore in the first Assassin's Creed game. Because I certainly didn't until I'd gotten into some of those other games and found out how cool these tidbits could be.
It does bother me when I'm in the middle of whatever I'm doing. In the real world, quote unquote, of Assassin's Creed, they'll say a line, or they'll have a bit And then all of a sudden, he goes back into the Animus. Hi, baby. Hi, lady. Hey. She's gonna knock down my whole set. Oh well. She's cute. Anyway, so they'll say a tidbit, they'll mention something, and then they put him back in the Animus, and it's like, wait. What about this? What's going on? Why can't we go like so those things I'll want to keep playing because I want to resolve this issue, but then it takes them 5 million missions in the Assassin's Creed world before they go back to the real world and answer that question. So, that's the one that's like, oh my goodness, why the lore itself, no, but the loose ends are what make me want to keep playing.
It is actually really entertaining that you get aggravated by the lack of modern day content in Assassin's Creed. People get really annoyed because of the frequency of it. Because you get pulled out and then basically do nothing. Get yelled at by some dude, sleep, and go right back in. And everybody's like, why are we doing this so frequently with nothing happening in it? And I think Assassin's Creed 1 does struggle from that, where they need to condense that modern day time into far fewer and far more interesting moments where you combine a lot of that stuff and make those things clearer.
Yeah, they need, in my opinion, this is from a non-gamer perspective, mind you. I feel like it needs to be more of a clear cut, this is what you're doing in the real world. Because my struggle also is, what am I doing? Am I supposed to be finding something? Am I supposed to be going to bed? What is the objective here? And they really don't, because you're supposed to figure it out. It's like a hush hush. You're on your own. You're trying to do things and figure out your own answers. But it's like, okay, how far am I searching for these answers? Or am I not supposed to be searching for these answers? What's going on exactly? That's also my struggle point too in there, where it's, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, they really do. In the modern day stuff with Assassin's Creed 1, they really drop the ball on a lot of things. Because there are certain things that you can do in the modern world to grow the lore of Assassin's Creed and the modern day assassins and modern day Templars. And so as you're learning about this struggle with Altair, you're also learning about it and how it's, progressed to the real world. But those things are really not obvious and ultimately completely irrelevant to any actual story. So yeah, it's mostly just an irrelevant, go to bed, but poorly told, and then get yelled at by some dude. And like there's certainly certain story aspects to it, but it could definitely be condensed into like 1 or 2, or maybe 3 modern world sessions, instead of like the 7 that they have, or whatever. I don't know how many, but it's a lot of pointless jumping, and they do get better with that, and their later games will have actual content for you outside of the Animus, and when you get out of there, there's actual things to do and actual story elements to work on and involve yourself in the modern day. And it happens less frequently, so you're not being jolted out of, this really cool assassin story, So they do improve upon it, and I do like that about Assassin's Creed. They've noticed what works and what doesn't, and they try to work with that, and nobody liked the modern day stuff from Assassin's Creed 1, so they limited it, until they got to a point that everybody kind of likes. And in Assassin's Creed Origins, it's, I think, by that point, or even before that point, it's pretty well balanced and different things like that, and different gameplay aspects. We want more speed in the climbing. All right, we'll add that, but we're not going to change much about the actual parkour because we love that, until you hit Syndicate, and then they add the gun. Everybody kind of yells at that, and then they did away with it, and even nowadays, they just dropped Mirage, which is supposed to be a callback to the original Assassin's Creed, because Origins, Valhalla, and Odyssey all went really RPG. And so now it seems like they're splitting it, Some RPG stuff, there's a lot of fans who love the RPG, and some who go more traditional Assassin's Creed. And so they seem to really have an open ear, and I do like that. And I think that will let them go pretty far. I gotta get Mirage at some point. Hopefully it'll go on sale soon. I should have checked that for Christmas, huh? Oh well.
Is it Ubisoft that does Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, Ubisoft does Assassin's Creed, all of that stuff. I use Ubisoft Connect to play with it.
So, hint, hint, wink, wink, Ubisoft or Steam or whoever, you gotta put it on sale, and he'll get it.
I think they're doing just fine. Ubisoft's got a couple of other games that I want to check out at some point. The Assassin's Creed is their biggest, for me at least, their biggest pull. But anymore, if I buy anything from Ubisoft, it's going to be directly from Ubisoft. I started the Assassin's Creed stuff through Steam. They're pulling away from like Steam support stuff. So it's so much easier to just buy it in Ubisoft and use Ubisoft Connect for all their stuff.
Everything finally downloaded and we have like 15 minutes left. Oh well, that is life. Okay, I'm gonna take this off this because it's not... Pause. Okay. I'm struggling here. Here. Oh, we do have a stream snack with us. We have truffles and nougats. Still Christmassy snacks that probably need to be eaten pretty soon because it's a hot mess. Don't forget to hydrate. Don't forget to snack. I forgot to say that at the beginning, but it still applies.
Especially if you're going to be sitting here talking for 2 hours, or however long it is. I don't talk this much most of the time, and so my throat's starting to get scratchy.
Well, man, where's your water?
I drank it all within the first hour.
You can have some of mine. Here you go. I started to hear your voice get scratchy. Your dad's does the exact same thing when he hasn't had much water. When he talks. Uh-oh. Can't see. Okay, there we go. The monitors like to bow out every now and again, and it's quite annoying, especially when you are mid-game. That's okay. We got through it. And sometimes if the monitor I'm on playing the games goes out, I can look over at the viewfinder of, or whatever it's called, the monitor in OBS, and just be like, okay, I'll just play my game off of there until my screen comes back. But this time it was both monitors at the exact same time. Not fun.
One of these days I'm going to have to figure out why they do that.
I would appreciate it. Because it's never when I'm just sitting and playing something, it's always when I'm on stream. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that we are on the internet. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm playing. I don't know what it is. There it goes again.
I Bum bum bum. It's always entertaining to jump in somebody's game halfway and watch them play. Especially if it's a game you haven't played. Because the interface is usually so bizarre to just look at when you don't know what you're looking at, you know, and I haven't gone through like the tutorial and the learning steps and everything. Just looking at the main scene, just being like, what is going on? Watching the player, you know, just kind of navigate willy-nilly through it all and just be like, oh yeah, this is cool. Where'd you go over here for? Okay, man, sure, that's where we're going. I don't know where we went, but we went there. And I think this is true of just about any game. It's just like, I don't know what I'm clicking. I don't know what I'm doing. or how to get. Sometimes you know where you want to go, but don't know how to get there. It's a mess.
I was showing my mom this game one time, and it was a higher level place. And I'm just clicking because I know exactly where most things are because they tend to be in the same area. I say this as I'm struggling to find the bird cage, but I digress. And she's like, I didn't see any of the things you were looking for before you clicked it. She's like, you went so fast. And I was like, well, they start you off on like 3 or 4 or 5 items as you get used to, and they add on as you go. She's like, yeah, I figured, but she's like, I think I'd like it better if I played it myself and didn't watch someone do it. So I don't know if that's exactly what you were talking about, but that's what I got from it.
That kind of stuff, but I was talking more about this kind of menu area, you know? In a game like this, you know, I mean, me, just looking at these screens, I see a bunch of locked pads with numbers and ABC. Just weird images. Like, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to earn, or anything like that. And even when you get into, like, a mission and you're actually looking at the images, the premise is simple enough. But you've got the aspects of what are they talking about? You know, some of them are pretty simple. You know, a bird cage. This is a bird cage, you know? But some of them are, like, really vague, and they make weird designs, or can be, you know, 2 different things, and they've got one of the 2, and so you're looking for one thing, and they've got a different thing. You know, and just random aspects like that, and if you're looking at, like, Assassin's Creed, and then you look at the map and all these different things, and you're just like, what is going on with all these markers, and what is this, what is that, what does this do, how does this help me in the game, you know, where are my main objectives, and different aspects of that, and how they all help you, and how they all progress the story, and progress the game in various ways.
Do you want to know what things mean in here? Would you like to know?
Not really, I was just commenting on it, I just thinking about it.
Well, if you ever have a specific question about the game, I'm not going to promise I'll know the answer, but I'll do my best to answer it. But yeah, a lot of those things do get taught in the tutorials. You're right. What really frustrates me is when they give you one thing, like, okay, oh, we're going to give you one magnifying glass. And the magnifying glass helps you find something directly, right? And let's say they want to give the magnifying glass to this paper boat. And you're like sitting there going, I see the paper boat. I don't need to use this for the paper boat, but it's a tutorial, so you have to use it. And it's like, why can't I just use this search thing, the magnifying glass, for something I actually need it for? Why do I have to? Like, just explain to me how to use it, and then I'll use it when I want to. Why do I have to use it now? So.
Yeah, I have that pet peeve about tutorials. It's very, like, I kind of get it. You need to have some kind of tutorial, but when you play the same type of game over and over, you know, there comes a point where it's just like, yeah, I know what to do. I'm 30 steps ahead of you at this point. Like, I can get this. And especially if they have, like, some games will allow you to, like, bypass the tutorial, and that's really nice. But, like, when you've got a game, especially mobile games, these are the worst, where you have to go through the tutorial, and it's just like, oh my word, you know, you got, like, these Connect 3 games. And every Connect 3 game is the same. We know what happens when you Connect 4. And when you Connect 5. You know, it's just like, yeah, we know. We know how that one works. We know how to connect them. We know how to spot them. We know how to use them. Just let me bypass it. And they do not, and they really do, you know, you have to use this. It's like, I don't want to use this. I want to save this for, you know, level 50 when I'm actually having a hard time. You know? And yeah, that kind of stuff just bugs the living daylight. I mean, it's just like, let me, and it takes forever because you gotta get through all the text and, oh, the story of the, it's like, I don't care, I want to Connect 3. I just want to Connect 3. Yeah, those tutorials tend to bug me a lot.
What really cracks me up about Assassin's Creed 1 is you go to the bureau in whatever city you're in, and he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna go south from here, you're gonna go to east, you're gonna go blah blah blah, and it's like, I don't know where that is. Oh, if you go to the palace, or oh, if you go to the docks. Now this past week, that actually helped me, because I'm like, okay, just go to the water, and keep going by the water until you find the dock, and that did help. But then there's other times where they're like, oh, you're gonna go to the academy, and then you're gonna go to the palace, but there's another place that looks like a palace, but it's not the palace, and that's not what you need, you know? And that's when it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. and then I forget 10 steps in where I'm supposed to go to find the right lookouts to get my investigations done for the mission. And it's like I understand the value of talking to the bureau person, but the map doesn't tell me that anything's a palace. The map tells me nothing. It just tells me where to go and how many steps to take.
So all of that kind of stuff, yeah, I do understand the frustration. Assassin's Creed is not the best for its map. It's HUD stuff. But to be fair to the game, they actually developed the game to be more audio oriented, which is why the map is so trash. And so the idea is that you're supposed to be able to listen to like background characters to help you navigate through the city. Now I don't know how you're supposed to do that. I've never tried it, but I have heard that it was designed with that in mind, where you'd be able to like listen to people talking somehow, and different sound effects, and guide yourself to wherever it is you need to go. I find it's a fascinating thing for like for a challenge, you know, but not for a first timer. You know, that's one of those things you do to make it harder on yourself. Where you don't have map up, you don't have that little HUD in the side. You just listen to the audio cues and listen to what the dude told you, and go based off of all of that. But yeah, I think that's a lot of why that, because they do change that heavily in later games, where you pull up a map and they've just got all your markers for you. And they might tell you where you're supposed to be going, but they'll also just put it on the map, and it'll have like a blinking yellow exclamation point or whatever, you know.
Yeah, they do a good job of, I don't have to read the story. I can just listen. Now, in that case, I did not know that you were supposed to listen to the background people. I always turn them down when I'm playing, because the background sounds are so loud compared to it's just so loud. And it's like, okay, I don't want to blast my ears out every time I play this. What I kind of wish they would do also for first timers, if you're not going to have a very good map and you're going to tell me to go south, northeast, etc., have a little compass at the top so I can at least know I'm generally headed the right way. Now, knowing me, it probably wouldn't help a whole lot because I am awful at directions, but it would at least give a bit of a leg up if I could just, you know, see if I'm going north, south, or east. We're making up words now.
Technically, all words made up, but that's irrelevant. Technically, all words are made up, but that's irrelevant at this point. Such a weird looking lantern thing there in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know what this is. It's very interesting. His room always looks very cluttered to me.
It looks very Cybermen from Doctor Who. It's got, I don't know, it just makes me think of that.
Don't get the upgrade.
Indeed.
To other Whovians out there, if you know, you know.
What if they don't?
Then they should watch Doctor Who. If you want to be in on it, watch Doctor Who. Which one was it? It was Tennant's season, wasn't it? Was it Tennant?
What?
The Cybermen episode.
Oh no, the Cybermen are a recurring. They occur in everybody's. You've got them in, yeah, well, not everybody's, but I think all of the new doctors have met up with the Cybermen. No. Eccleston never met up with the Cybermen, did he? He had a Cyberman head in one of those episodes, but Tennant was the first one to meet the Cybermen in New Who. But yeah, they're an old thing. I don't remember who the first doctor to actually meet a Cyberman. But they're old.
What I'm referring to is there is a new doctor, I believe it's Tennant, where he sees the process of the Cyberman happening, and then we figure out how they came to be or something like that. And that's where the don't get the upgrade is from. There's a specific episode. That's why I said that.
Yeah, that would be David Tennant. With Rose and Mickey. They jump universes and meet essentially a remake. They meet a remake of the Cybermen who eventually cross into his original universe and kind of starts the new Who version. Because that whole process allowed them to redesign the Cybermen. Because the old stuff was, it was old Doctor Who. It was in the 1960s. It was cheap. And you could tell it was just like plastic, tubing around their head. And they basically just wore white shirts with some metal on it. So it allowed them to redesign the Cybermen to give them this still Cyberman look, but updated to the modern age, and something more modern and more scary to modern audiences. And so that was in season 2 of New Who. I don't remember what episode. Yeah. And then they've been around for a while. Fought the Daleks, and that was hilarious. And then I believe Smith does have an encounter with the Cybermen. And so does Capaldi. And then they kind of go with Jodie Whittaker's doctor. They kind of have this weird Time Lord vibe. And I don't know why. They've got weird, Time Lord collars for some bizarre reason that I don't know. I've not actually watched any of Jodie Whittaker's doctor. Except the last one where she dies. And they're in that for a brief second. I'm just like, what is going on here? This is so dumb looking.
Well, thank you for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed having you. Please come again. I'd love for you to come back on Mondays. But we had fun. I hope you had fun as well. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, weekend, whenever you're watching this. Don't forget to snack. Don't forget to hydrate. Stay warm, please, especially in these bitterly cold winter months. Did you have any parting words for the people?
Stretch.
Yes, please stretch. That's very wise to say. But bye, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me today. If you liked this video, please like it. If you enjoy this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. If you would like to interact with me live, come on over to Twitch. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is when I game.